Hi everyone, thank you for tuning into episode 5 of the Q&A series, Your Next Stop Partnership. I'm Luke Thompson, the director at Introlegal, a boutique legal recruitment agency based out of Cavendish Square. And I'm delighted today to say I'm joined by Adam Merali and Nico Beedle of Merali Beedle. Chaps, would you like to introduce yourselves?
Hi Luke, my name's Adam. I started Merali Beedle about 5 years ago, and I'm predominantly a property lawyer, and I'm pleased to say we've been growing from strength to strength, and I'm happy to share some of my views with everyone today.
Thanks, Adam.
Thanks, Luke. Thanks for having me on. I'm Nico. I'm a partner at Merali Beedle as well. I'm a commercial property lawyer. And similarly to Adam, I've been with Merali Beedle from the beginning, and we've been growing very nicely over the last 5 years. Always happy to speak to people about what's been going on for us, what's working, where we see ourselves going, and just to connect, really. So yeah, very nice to be here.
Well, look, gents, thank you very much for coming on. I appreciate it because as you know, we've worked together, and for those who don't know, Merali Beedle is a dispersed law firm. So I think a lot of listeners will be intrigued to know what that is, what that encompasses, and essentially whether it could be an interesting model for them to explore. But before we get into that, I wanted to ask you both, certainly for the junior lawyers watching this, what your best memories are of when you were both trainees. Seems to be an interesting one for people watching the Q&A.
For my best memory was for the training contract ending. I found being very open, I found it a very difficult time. And I actually remember writing to Nico during my training contract thinking and saying that I was thinking about leaving. But I'm obviously very happy I stuck with it. And for anyone, I'm sure there's a ton of people in that position, just stick with that 2 years. It may not be fun, but it really does pay off. Just reach qualification and then reassess. Don't quit halfway through.
Nico?
I had a different experience. I had a good experience in my training contract. I trained at Ashurst, and I think best memories, and it's not just one memory. I was part of a cohort of, I think there were 30 of us or so who were trainees at the same time. We had a really, really nice group of people who got on very well, and I'm still close to some of them. And very few are still there. The attrition from big law firms is crazy. Maybe sort of one or so of the 30 is still left at the firm 12 years later. But yeah, just that there was a good group of guys and women, and we got on very well.
So you've known each other a long time, and when did you come together and essentially form Merali Beedle? How did that happen?
So I had started a law firm, and this was about 6 years ago, I think, Nico, wasn't it? Nico had just left. You just left forces, hadn't you?
I was just about to. I think you set up while I was still there.
Yeah, so I'd set up, and I got some clients, and I was basically asking Nico for some help on the legal side of things to make sure I was doing everything correctly. And we started talking, and very organically, it just sort of fell into place completely by accident. It was never really an intention of mine to start a law firm, and it just ended up that way.
So how long has the firm been going now? Did you say 5 years, 6 years?
Yeah, 5 years, I'd say.
5 years. So, okay, so for those people watching this who don't know, because I do speak to a lot of lawyers who know about what a dispersed law firm is, but there are many that don't still, interestingly. So for those who don't know, what is a dispersed law firm, and why does it differ from a traditional law firm model? So
how we like to present it is that we would look and appear like a traditional sort of law firm, just our internal structuring is radically different. So we've got no hierarchy. There's no sort of upper levels of management, all the red tape you would expect to find in traditional law has pretty much been cut straight through. And the payment structure is completely different. So you can work as much or as little as you want, and you get paid for what you do. And for those who are let's say the high achievers or the big billers, this dispersed law firm should remunerate you much better than traditional law.
And Nico, if I can ask you, why did you, and Adam, I mean, why did you decide a dispersed law firm as opposed to the traditional law firm model? What was it that made you choose that type of model? Because it was, and you were ahead of the curve. I mean, because if we look at, certainly if I look at the market now, no one could have predicted that we'd be in the situation we are today. We know the lawyers that essentially I'm putting forward to you that are certainly interested, and obviously we've had a couple of joiners only last week from top 50 law firms. And you were ahead of the curve. So what made you realise that this could be the future going forward?
So it's a really interesting question. So Adam set the firm up, and because there was some work Adam already had and was bringing in residential clients as well, and wanted to do that work. And I'll be completely honest, because it's always good to be honest. When I joined, I thought I might stop being a lawyer altogether. Having been in private practice for quite a long time, I wasn't really enjoying the day-to-day of being a lawyer. Both firms I worked at are great, and I really, really like them, and I'm still close to them. So there's nothing wrong with traditional law firm model. It just wasn't really working for me. And I thought I'll come and just do a bit of consultancy with Merali Beedle. It was named something different then before Adam and I decided to grow the business over the last 5 years. And see what comes of that. And what happened was, I'll do this on the side and kind of try and work out where I see myself going. But what happened was, Adam and I both started bringing in a lot of work quite quickly, because, as Adam alluded to, our model is that if people reach a really realistic level of billing each year in terms of the work that they bring in themselves, they will take home 70% of what they bill. And as an associate in a traditional law firm, your salary tends to be around 25 to 30% of what you bill. And so it gave me a completely different attitude and relationship to the work I was bringing in billing. And so I was doing a lease, which made a billing of £2,500, £3,000. And at a traditional law firm, that was just another thing landing on my desk, which I was going to have to do with no reward other than my salary, which I was getting anyway. And under our model, I would either make no money if I didn't have it, or suddenly I'm getting a way bigger slice of the pie for this bit of work. And so it really did grow organically from a point of both of us being fairly disenchanted with law to finding a new way of doing it, and then finding other people who had been similarly disenchanted, brilliant lawyers, but had just wanted a different way of being incentivized, rather than having a problem culturally necessarily with the firms they were at. So a lot of us have joined from firms we're still close to people from and respect. It was just more that the way we're built, we want to be incentivized in a different way, and we get a bigger slice of the pie, but we have to go and bring the work in ourselves.
I mean, and Adam, I mean, from your point of view, I'm sure you echo what Nico just said, but do you think this could be the future of law going forward, based on what we're seeing at the moment in the current climate?
I think it's a very attractive model, but it's not for everyone. For instance, we don't have training contracts here. The only lawyers we take on are senior lawyers who know the law inside out. And so if someone's, if a junior lawyer came to us, or someone wanted to come to us for a training contract, we simply don't offer it. So this type of law will cater towards a certain level of seniority. So I think there will certainly be, traditional law firms will certainly still be there. We may just see, as people gain more experience, they may just start to consider a different way of working.
Yeah. No, that's
so I think both models will exist in parallel. There might just be a 5 or 10% shift or something like that.
And to some, this is precisely why I wanted to have you both involved in this Q&A series, because the whole point of this was to help aspiring lawyers understand what it is to be commercially aware, what it is to have business development as part of your key skills. I mean, when did you both recognise that needing to be commercially aware and having business development would be key to the success of your careers and getting to the point where you are now partners in your own firm, and which I mean is just fantastic at this stage in your careers?
Well, for me, it was when I signed the SRA forms to start the firm, because if I wasn't able to win business, the business wouldn't have lasted very long at all. So it was really a sink or swim or drown painfully situation for me, and luckily I had some swimming ability. But it's a lot of people who always talk about it, and it seems like a mythical skill, but actually everyone has it. They just haven't been required to use it yet. And as you start practicing that skill, it actually comes, well, to me, it came very naturally. But really, you're going out there and talking to people and telling them what your skill set is. And if you get on vaguely with that person, chances are you've got a good a potential client there. So then working hard is a prerequisite. If you sometimes you might find someone that is able to hide a little bit in a large company, and in a firm like ours, the spotlight's on you. There's no escape. In terms of commercial awareness, I've always been interested in business. So, understanding what your clients do, you have to spend a bit more time talking to your clients and really getting to know how their business functions, and a vague understanding at least of how it operates, and what their risks are. And to do that, you have to spend more time getting to know them and talking to them. Again, luckily in our business model, because you don't have to crunch through the volume of work that you traditionally would have had to, you're able to spend those hours getting to know your clients a lot more, and understanding their businesses a lot more as well.
Yeah, Nico?
I completely agree with everything Adam said. In terms of business development, I was a trainee from September 2008 to September 2010. And I remember when I was doing IT training in my first 2 weeks of my training contract, it was the day that RBS shares fell like 30% or something. And so this is a roundabout story, but the important thing is I saw during the credit crunch and the recession that followed that the lawyers in big firms who were getting let go tended to be senior lawyers with no following. So they were technically brilliant. And when times were busy, partners relied on them.
Mm-hmm.
But when times were hard, they were on very high salaries and there wasn't as much work. And actually, a lot of those people then moved firms and did very well. But it was kind of a warning to me, being very junior, thinking, you need to have a business case the whole way along. Even when you're junior, just clients you get on with, you may not be the partner on it, but it's really, really helpful to have close relationships, because at a certain level of seniority, you would hope that everyone's technically good enough because you've been doing it for quite a long time. So yeah, that was a bit of a warning, and under our model, it unfortunately is really sink or swim, because if you don't have the work, you're not going to make any money. But if you do, you're going to make a lot more money. That's the bottom line. And on commercial awareness, exactly what Adam said, in terms of just trying to find out a bit more about your client's business, but also their makeup as a person, because what they might be willing to do and the risk they may be willing to take, and their attitude towards things, really important. So as well as their business, the personality. So you have a feel for the kind of person you're dealing with. And actually, in terms of business development, something that I know Adam's experienced as well. When I was a junior lawyer and a trainee, I thought that partners were rainmakers and they got all this work and these big networking events and talks. And I've found that almost all the work I've brought in has been through meeting people one-on-one, or referrals from people I've done a good job for. And so in terms of business development, the biggest thing I've learned is never have a prejudice on who is going to be important and who's not. Do a really good job for whoever it is, because you have no idea who they know. You have no idea how much work they're going to give you in the future. Rather than, well, this is my important client and this one I'll get back to in a few days' time. And that the results of that have been really stark in terms of some very big work, which came from an annoying bit of work a few years ago, which I did because it was August and I was quiet. But I did it well, and I got a lot of work as a result of it. So yeah.
I mean, look, I can echo that, having been in practice, as you know, myself. And it's, yeah, some of the best work I ever received was on a one-to-one basis. I always joke some of the best work I ever got as a divorce lawyer was at weddings, at around 10 o'clock in the evening. And it's a sad...
Your version of Wedding Crashers, isn't it? You're going to pick up clients rather than...
Yeah, it's the truth. But anyway, I digress. But so in terms of client following, for those people who are watching this who may want to consider a dispersed law firm, what level of following typically would one need?
Well, it's not quite a straightforward question, because when I started, I had zero. I was completely zero clients, zero network, and I built everything up from scratch. Now, we have supported a number of lawyers in the firm start from a very similar client following. I basically very little or none, but you've got to be willing to put in the time to go and meet people. And then actually what really the best advice, especially for junior lawyers and trainees, is you should be going out, building up your legal network or your client network really from day one. Yes, obviously learning the legal skills is paramount, but any opportunity you have to build your business case, you're just increasing your value as a lawyer, right? Legal skills are prerequisite, but number two is you've got to start building up your network very, very as early as you can. And the earlier you do that, the more value you'll have in your whole career, whether you choose to go for whichever type of law firm. But if you can walk into an interview knowing that you have a client following off a few £100,000, it's really you'll be interviewing the law firm rather than the law firm interviewing you, if you see what I mean.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is a conversation I have often with people, certainly at senior associate level, aspiring for partnership. And Nico, you touched upon this point. If you're a senior associate, but you're a brilliant lawyer, but you don't have the business case, certainly in times like this, to some, you are a cost to a business. But as Adam says, if you can rock up to an interview with 300,000, and that firm works on multiples of 3, then you can pretty much guarantee you've got a job to walk into, even in a flat market. So yeah, I think this is it's great advice, guys. Look, I was super excited to get you on here, as I said at the beginning of the Q&A, because you've had some fantastic lawyers join you, certainly of late. We're aware of others that are going to be joining you soon, and some really high caliber lawyers. Obviously, we know there are other dispersed law firms in the market. There are certainly some of the bigger players. What are the attractive features, do you think, about working at Merali Beedle? Why as a lawyer, if I'm thinking about a dispersed law firm model, why Merali Beedle? That's my question to you there. I'll put you on the spot.
On that one, I think that you know us. Adam and I have been friends for coming up for 25 years. We never meant to go into business together. We're doing it because we found a way of being lawyers that we really enjoy. A lot of our competitors, some of them are listed, some of them are looking to list, and they're looking to grow exponentially to have a business case to sell on, either to investors or to list. We're looking for really good lawyers who we get on with and like to come and join a firm which is really collegiate, and a lot of people who have joined have been friends of people who were at the firm already. Our retention rate is incredibly high. Most people who have joined have stayed. And so I think in terms of atmosphere, it's different in that we may remunerate people on a dispersed basis, but we retain the community of a boutique law firm. And I think the second thing I would say is that this comes from not looking to grow extremely quickly and get very big, is we have attracted some really, really high caliber lawyers. So if you look at the commercial property side, so we're 23 lawyers at the moment, of whom we're split evenly, in terms of property, it's 12 property lawyers, but we're now looking to expand in as many areas as possible. if we meet the right people. On the commercial property side, it's me. I was at Ashurst and Forsters. We've got 3 people who are at BCLP, an ex-partner at Charles Russell Speechleys, someone who worked at Howard Kennedy for many years, someone who worked at Norton Rose for over 10 years. Now, we didn't set out to attract people only of that caliber, but now that's what we're doing and that's the profile we're getting. I think that's the difference between us and our competitors. Having held out for people who we think are really good, we're small and beautiful and looking to grow in the way we have and just follow our nose.
Adam, I mean, why Merali Beedle?
Really follow. I mean, Nico answered the question very fully, but the real main thing is that we do not have any sort of growth targets as such, which gives us a very unique ability to grow in a very organic and calm way. We don't have to cater for any investors or other stakeholders. If we don't find the right lawyers, we just won't grow, which we are perfectly happy with. And for us, that's the approach we're taking. And we might be right, we might be completely wrong in what we're doing, but for the moment, we're very happy and it's working. So that's the only thing I would add.
I would second that it's most certainly working, because even someone working in the recruitment industry, as I do, obviously I've got my traditional law firm clients and I've got my dispersed law firm client, but there is certainly a spike in interest, more so I think than ever, and I think that's really interesting. I think that as a result of that, more and more people will become alive to the possibilities that are out there for them in terms of dispersed law firm way of working. As you said, the remuneration is it can be a lot healthier, certainly if you've got the client following. But look, chaps, I didn't ask you at the beginning of the video just to set out the type of work that you do yourselves. I mean, the types of deals you're working on presently. Obviously, we can't go into details, but values, the types of work you do. Are you happy to share that with some of our listeners now?
Yes, generally. So I would act anywhere for a first-time buyer to values of around £500,000 to a developer in the tens of millions. So it's a very wide range that the clients that I have.
And Nico?
I specialise in commercial property rather than residential, and my bread and butter is negotiating landlord and tenant deals, often on the tenant side for office and retail tenants in central London. Rents anywhere from £30,000 up to £1.5 million. And we as a firm, as we've grown, are doing more and more investment work, which is great. And at the moment, I am in the process of negotiating the purchase of a mixed-use site in London for £20 million, which, again, given we're in lockdown, is really miraculous. And that's not by my doing. It was kind of a gift that came out of nowhere, and I thought, wow.
No, Nico, don't. That's part of your business development and commercial awareness.
but actually, going back to business development a second, I think this is something that's really important to say to anyone who's junior and hasn't brought in any work, is you have no control over the work that comes in. All you can do is do your best, have coffee with people, do a good job, and hope that the work's going to come in. There isn't a magic trick of bringing in work. So that's going on, and there's another very big deal in the pipeline, which is a £100 million purchase, which is hopefully going to come our way in the next couple of months. But the heads of terms being negotiated between agencies is very complicated, and that's out of town and a very big site.
Well, look, chaps, thank you again for taking part. I love working with you guys. It's always fun, and one thing I'd like to stress as part of this Q&A is that anyone I put forward to you, the feedback is always just so positive. Really, really great guys to engage with, and obviously those I've placed with you, the feedback has been, it's a great place to be, and no regrets, and just everyone just seems to be very excited about where you're going. So I'd like to just say thank you for taking part, and I wish you all the very best with the success of the firm, because you're clearly doing great things. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Lee.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.